Hey everybody, this recording will cover the week 4, chapter 4 assignments. So here is your assignment document, and then of course I have the assignment page where you will submit. So for week 4, chapter 4, and chapter 4 is called, hold on, let me go back to my book very quickly. It is Designing Lessons Rules. Okay, so we're going to learn in this chapter how to design lessons and teach lessons that involve rules. Some examples of rules are on page 92 of your textbook. So, for example, in science, when heat is added, solids, liquids, and gases all expand. All right, in math, if the last digit is even, then the number is divisible by 2. Spelling. When a noun ends in CH, S, SH, X, or Z, and you want to make the noun plural, add ES, right? So a lot of these things, we already know, we do them automatically. But for your students, especially your students who might struggle with some of these rules, you need to be very explicit with them. So we're going to chapter 4, also talks about examples, non-examples. We've been talking about that since week 1, right? So what we're going to do, you have two assignments for week 4. The first one is a discussion board that will come from page 95. You do not need to respond to a peer for this discussion board, okay? So no need to respond to a peer. I don't think there's going to be that much variation in what you all say. So there's no need to respond to a peer for the discussion board. And this will take place again. This is from pages 94 and 95. It's application 4.1, determining critical attributes in a rule. So after you read chapter 4 and view the PowerPoint, complete application 4.1, determining critical attributes in a rule, and the actual part that you're going to submit is on page 95. So remember, this will be into the discussion board, and you do not have to respond to a peer, okay? So directions from page 94 and 95, read the first 3 rules and corresponding critical attributes that are in your textbook, right? So the first rule is, the one I just said, actually, when a noun ends in blah, 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 and you want to make a plural, add ES instead of S. The next rule, if the only divisors are 1 and the number itself, then the number is a prime number. And then the last rule example that they give you, if you are showing a comparison, use than, THAN. If you are indicating time, use then, THEN. Okay, so those are your critical rules of the examples that you're giving you. So then you're going to read the last 2. There are 2 more posted in there, written, I guess not posted, in the book that you are going to describe the critical attributes for. Okay, so here are the last 2 rules that you will post to the discussion board. And again, you do not need to respond to a peer for this post. In chapter 2, you did need to respond to a peer in the discussion board, but in this one, you do not. All right, so the rules from the textbook on page 95, use commas to separate the words and or word groups in a series of 3 or more. Okay, use commas to separate the words and or word groups in a series of 3 or more. So you're going to list the critical attributes right here. Maybe you can come up with 2, maybe you can come up with 1. So come up with what you can, okay? And then here's your then statement, so you don't need to do anything here. Then separate with commas. So you're going to say if blah, 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 then separate with commas. Okay, your next rule, when a word ends in a vowel, consonant, final E, and you want to add a suffix that begins with a vowel, drop the E. Okay, so critical attributes, if, your rule, then drop the E. You may want to come up with some examples, especially for, for both of them, actually. So come up with the critical attribute or buttes, depending on if you think there's 1 critical attribute or 2. And then also try to come up with an example, at least 1 example for each rule. If you want to live on the edge, you can come up with a non-example. Okay, so kind of make it your own, but at least a critical attribute here and here, at least an example here and here. And again, if you want to come up with a non-example, just make sure to label it as a non-example, okay? All right, so that's the first part. You're just going to do this post into the discussion board. Again, don't respond to anybody. And then your second part, this is another IRIS activity. Remember, we did the IRIS module in chapter 3. So this one is another IRIS activity. There's so many great activities, and it's actually called possible sentences. Like I'm not just saying, oh, well, maybe we'll do an activity about sentences. No, it's actually called possible sentences. So what you will do, you will first read pages 1 and 2 for background information. I'll take you there in just a second about possible sentences, which is a vocabulary instructional activity. And in this one, we're going to look specifically in relation to science, okay? They also have a possible sentences for ELA and for social studies. I just happen to choose science. As I said, although it can also be used in social studies and ELA. You will then read through the scenario on page 3 and answer the 3 questions at the bottom of page 3. You will answer the questions that are listed here in a Word document that you will submit for your week 4 assignment to submit. And I, of course, have that Word document already prepared for you. So here are the questions. How would you encourage Sam to deepen his understanding of the word's meanings? How would you provide instruction to students who might confuse target vocabulary with similar sounding words that are not related to the concepts in the unit? And number 3, how would you provide enrichment for Juan and Daniel? So those are the questions, and here is your document. This is what you will sorry, my phone is going off. This is what you will submit where it says week 4 assignment to submit. Okay, so again, this is the exact same information that I just shared with you in that other document. I'm probably overkilling, and I understand that, but I'm just trying to make it as clear as possible for you all since I am not there. Okay, so you will just type your answers right into this document. Question number 1, question number 2, question number 3, and then this will be your assignment that you submit in addition to the discussion board, right? So let me show you the IRIS, what it looks like. So it's vocabulary instruction, possible sentences for science. It should take you about an hour. And again, if this is something you're really interested in, you can go to the IRIS Center and search for possible sentences for social studies and ELA. All right, so you're gonna read this overview. Okay, it's going to teach you everything you need to know. Vocabulary instruction. It also kind of goes along with chapter 3, right? Vocabulary and concepts. So we're building on what we've already learned previously. So again, you're going to keep reading. You're going to keep this in mind. And then here is the scenario. Okay, so it's about Miss Thomas. She is talking about the water cycle. Water. I feel like I said that very oddly. But so you're going to read this scenario again about Miss. Here are the words, her vocabulary words. Okay, so here we're talking about Sam, what's going on with Sam over here. And here we're talking about Juan and Daniel. Okay, so again, read the first couple pages and then read the scenario, and then you're going to answer these questions. How would you encourage Sam to deepen his understanding of the word's meanings, right? So I already just typed these questions into your week 4 assignment to submit. Okay, again, you are certainly welcome to, split screen and have the questions up as you are reading through the activity. So whatever works for you. But I thought it was an interesting activity, this possible sentences activity, just to expose you all to, another vocabulary instructional activity. Again, very appropriate for science, social studies, and ELA. All right, so that is it for chapter 4, week 4. So again, discussion board, you're just going to list the critical attributes, an example, and again, if you want to live crazy, list a non-example for this one. Same thing here, critical attribute or attributes, an example, and if you want to live on the edge, a non-example. All right, that'll be in the discussion board, and you do not need to respond to a peer. And then this possible sentences, that will be week 4 assignment to submit. All right, hopefully that makes sense. That is about it for week 4, chapter 4. I will be back with week 5, chapter 5.